Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CLSR, and I'm your host, the counselor. Today, we're going to talk about riches, but being real with riches. I mean, there's so many gimmicks out there, so many advertisements, people talking about how you're going to get rich quick or make promises as long as you just do some small investment. And 99.9% of the time, they're just gimmicks. See, that's how they make money off of you. They have you, and see, a little bit of money from a million people adds up to a lot of money. So this is the gimmick. There's so many things that play out there, so many promises, unbroken promises. I mean, this is a time right now, especially now, when we need some extra money. We would like to get there. Everybody wants to have some money. Everyone, we need it. It's a part of society. However, there's so much out there, so much misinformation that we just resort to anything to get it. These promises, and let's be real, most of it's garbage. Some of you, yes, are hitting it, but champagne wishes and caviar dreams, that's what it's really about. But I mean, when did you have the truth given to you? Well, today we're going to talk about the truth with some wealth. I mean, talk about practical things that you can actually apply that will work through time. And I got to tell you, it doesn't take a lot of work. It just takes a lot of patience and understanding. I mean, I'm a big believer that the education system should really teach about money and finance. Financial literacy is so important, especially when you're in the world today. Things, all these services, these charges, these fees, every time you turn around, it's something here or there, or these credit cards, like learning how to use credit cards. I mean, the financial landscape has changed so much that what applied 10 years ago no longer applies today. So we really have to get with it. So, understanding about wealth. See, wealth, nearly everyone wants it, but few people actually know what they need to do in order to get it. Becoming rich takes a combination of luck, skill, and patience. To get rich, you'll need to set yourself on a path that leads to monetarily enriching a career. Then handle the money you earn wisely by investing it, saving it, managing it, and reducing your living expenses. I believe that a lot of the wealth that we give away every month or every day, through all these responsibilities that we put on ourselves, that's our wealth going out the window. So, getting rich isn't easy, but with a little bit of perseverance and skillful decision making, it's definitely possible. So, I really have to talk about, first and foremost, investing. Put money in the stock market. Invest money in stocks, bonds, or other vehicles of investment that will give you an annual return on investment, which is your ROI, right? Return on investment. Great enough to sustain you in your retirement. See, everybody wants to get rich quick, and you can make some money. And we're going to talk about how you're going to do it. But you got to start off with some discipline. Like, for instance, if you have $1 billion invested and you get a reliable 7% ROI, that's 70,000 per year, less inflation. Now, realistically, how many of us really have $1 million sitting around? Not many, but believe me, you know, you don't need $1 million. You need some discipline. Don't get enticed by day traders who tell you it's easy to make a quick buck. Buying and selling dozens of stock every day is essentially gambling. If you make some bad trades, which is unbelievably easy to do, you can lose a lot of money. It's not a good way to get rich. Instead, learn to invest for the long run. Choose good stocks with solid fundamentals and excellent leadership in industries that are primed for future growth. Then let your stock sit. Don't do anything with it. Let it weather the ups and downs. And if you invest wisely, you should do very well over time. The one thing the counselor says is that one thing you young people have that a billionaire doesn't have is time. And that means time will accumulate wealth. And I have to tell you that when you think about investing. A lot of people are like, oh man, all these different methods and strategies to investing. How am I ever going to get it? Like, it's just too much work. Well, let me put it in someone else's hands. Well, I'm going to give it to you real simple. Now, let's say today, what are the companies that are really going to be there for the next 10 years? See, a lot of people go, well, what's going to change in the next 10 years? No, I want you to think about the companies that will be here. Not what's going to be different, but what's going to be the same for the next 10 years. And I know if you look out there, there are some companies that, number one, have been around for 30, 40 years, but there's some that's been around that you know they're going to be around for 20 years. Well, let's name some. I would say easily Amazon's going to be around. Apple, I could see. What are the Shopify, right? Alibaba, and then the electric car market that's increasing, right? So think about Elon Musk. He's starting out, but he's killing the market. But all these other players like Ford, GM, Toyota, they've got infrastructure. They've been established for years. It's just a matter of time before they catch in on that game, right? And convert and get wise. Because the people are going to demand it. People want to get away from this running to the gas station every 3 days. Could you imagine if people really did the basic math and they thought about, well, wait, I got to run to the gas station every 3 days, maybe fill up $60 to fill up basic average car. And I got to do that 3 times, sometimes more a week. What if that went away and I just plugged in, and that 50, 60 went on my electric bill and I didn't have to do all that stopping? Like, if they just wake up to that, they're going to go, wow, what was I doing? And that car that cost 60,000, why don't I put that down? That payment that I would be putting in gas will be less than that monthly payment, especially with these interest rates. So there's wonderful things that we can do if we really think about it. Times are going on and we're supposed to be more convenient, but there are wonderful things out there. Think of the grocery stores that are going to be there. Buy those stocks, right? And if you have to get somebody to do it, start while you're young. Hire somebody to do it. Get into guaranteed certificates. Buy bonds that are going to be there at a guaranteed rate. Just make sure you're comparing. We have access to the world market now. Think of all the countries that are still developing, and what's the need, right? So a lot of people, especially these young people, aren't thinking about tomorrow. But believe me, if you start doing that, you're on your way to some wealth. Because you know what? Trying to get the quick buck, believe it or not, no. Take some discipline. And I mean, have your money pulled from your account. Automatic. Okay, so if I'm going to investment, and you can go into like a lot of people do their investing where they go through these brokerages and sit down. That's great to do. Don't get that wrong. But however, you can easily go through your bank and have stocks you can buy right through your online banking. Get the tax-free investment funds, like a TFSA in Canada here. I think it's TFSA investment, not the regular TFSA, but the TFSA investment where you can buy in certain stocks. And be careful because sometimes they only limit you to the United States and Canada. But China, honestly, it's one of the fastest growing. Forget all the racism and bias and bull out there. If you see some of these big organizations like the pension funds of Ontario, that they're investing in China. They're not telling you that, but trust me, everybody puts the scare out there. Oh, you know what? You can't trust them, and that's a bunch of garbage. There's no one really you can trust. You got to trust yourself and go with what's working, what's happening out there. It doesn't take much to get on there and do a little bit of research. So what I strongly recommend is that young people start thinking about their future and thinking about 20, 30 years ahead. There's a lot of wonderful things. And take a financial literacy course. But secondly, I want you to save money for retirement. And a lot of people, the skepticism is out there. Well, why should I invest for retirement, man? That's way too long. Once you get the flavor of seeing that money accumulate, you'll go, wait, I could do it here, I could do it there, I could do it this. You know what I mean? You're not just gonna wait for retirement. I didn't say that. I'm saying just put it in there. Start. And don't touch it. Make sure you don't touch it. Let it accumulate, that compound. You read the book if you have to, 1 grain of rice. Like, wake up, people. Get your kids to read those books. Some of those financial books that aren't so obvious. All right? So, Keep saving. It seems that fewer people are saving adequately for retirement. Some feel they may never be able to retire. Take advantage of tax deferred retirement plans such as IRAs, 401ks, the TFSA investments. The tax treatment they embody will help you save faster for retirement. And you can use some of that money when it accumulates too. Like when someone sees, like organizations like banking institutions see that you're accumulating, you got investments, they're going to give you cheaper mortgage rates, they're going to give you benefits. They want that business. They're going to give you loans. There's so much you can do just by having that discipline. Now, don't put all your trust in Social Security. While it's a good bet that Social Security will continue to work for the next 20 or so years, some data suggests that if Congress doesn't radically alter the system, even here in Canada, if our government doesn't make any changes, either by raising taxes or reducing benefits, Social Security won't be available in its current form. It is probable, however, that Congress will act to fix Social Security in any event. Social Security was never designed to be the only resource for retirees in their later years. That makes it all the more important that you save and invest for the future. Make sure you're not just depending on that to be your all, to be there. Make sure that you have money that you can manipulate. Remember, they'll be giving out payments. However, you can put some money away today, and believe me, it will grow. Right? So if you're investing, invest in a Roth IRA. It's a retirement account to which working individuals can contribute an annual sum of $5,500. That money is then invested and gathers and compounds interest. If you wait until retirement age to take money out of your Roth, the money that you withdraw isn't taxed because it was taxed at the time you first earned it, right? You're going to have to contribute to the 401k account. This is an account set up by your employer where pre-tax contributions can be invested. Your employer may choose to match all or part of your contributions. This is probably the closest thing you'll get to free money in your life. Contribute at least enough to take full advantage of the match, right? Do that. Remember, you should be, if you really want to be wealthy, I know this is going to sound crazy, but it's not. It's real. What you should do is look at your income, and 40% of that, if you really want wealth, take 40% of what you're earning now and put that into not just investment, whether it's in real estate, you know what I mean, your portfolio, but make sure you're keeping 40% and you're putting that to work. Okay, I know a lot of you are sitting out there going, wait a minute, I got 110% going out there because I have all these responsibilities and obligations. Well, with what you're making right now, if you look at the 40% that you can't take right now, then you're going to have to take that right now. Take that money, that 40%, do your calculation, whatever you take home, do 40%. And then you say, okay, wait, I got to get 40% of that put in towards paying myself or investing. So what I'm going to do is, if I have to make the difference by getting a little bit extra work or putting some other money to work or hiring somebody to work here or getting Turo or whatever to, get money accumulated to get that 40%, that's what I'm going to have to do. That's going to be my monthly discipline. So you have to pay yourself first. Stop waiting for other people to pay you. A lot of the money that we're giving away, right? Because we want that new car and we don't know how to get it. Well, if you don't know how to get it, you're going to have to learn that financial literacy because there are ways to do it. There's so much information out there. And one of the vehicles is investing in real estate. Relatively stable assets like rental properties or potential development land in a steadily growing area is a good way to build wealth. As with any investment, there are no guarantees. Many people, however, have done quite well with real estate. Such investments are likely to appreciate in value over time. For example, some people think that an apartment in Manhattan is almost guaranteed to increase in value over any 5-year period. Well, that could be in even upcoming cities. See, one thing I want to tell people, especially when it comes to real estate, and I'm going to speak from personal experience, all right? Now, there's a lot of people that are flipping homes, and they're like, yes, buy a home and flip it. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to give you the 90 to 10% factor. over the years, let's say the last 20 years, if I bought a number of homes, and one of the things I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to take this money. I'm going to buy this house, sell this house, flip this house, and make my income. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the best thing you can learn to do is you can learn to buy a home. Don't sell that house. Let it increase in value. And I'm going to give you a simple formula for listening to the counselor. You buy a house, okay? And for example, buy a house and you put your down payment down. You rent it out, whatever you have to do. And then you let that house rent out for at least 3 years. Okay? And then it grows in equity. And that means it started at 100,000 and in 3 years, let's say it's 140,000. Okay? And then what you do is you take that equity, that increase from those 3 years, maybe it's even more, like 150,000 in 3 years. So you take that 50,000, you take 80% of that. That's what the banks usually do. And you can actually take that out. Let's say it's 35,000, 40,000. You got a little bit of your own money and you put a down payment on another one. Now that money that you used off that first home, you didn't sell it. You just said, listen, you know what? My house was worth 100. Now it's worth 150, 60,000. I want to take a percentage of that increase and purchase another house. And then what you do is you don't sell the house. They'll go, yeah, it looks good. You're working. We see that you are renting out the house or you paying on this house. It's been consistent and it's grown in value. Now you can use that money and you take that percentage out and you put it down. Now the interest on that, let's say 40,000, okay, you are really getting a tax break on that. So what you do is you put it down on the next property and you do the same thing. So your next property, right, you get 100,000 and then you wait another 3 years. And you know what? You do the same thing over and over and over. And believe it or not, you will see that not only do the houses grow, but you get cash from renting out. You get the cash flow game going. So you continuously do this and you will learn about business, money, and you don't have to have employees. You don't have to have worry about HR. You don't have to worry about benefits. What you do is you manage this, okay? And you just start off slow. Okay, and you start off, you put your first investment, get people renting. A lot of people go, oh, renting it out. Yes, renting it out can be a challenge, but those people who stick it out and they go, no, because I tell you, I've bought homes in areas where, there was an established community, and because they got agitated, I ended up selling because it was based on my emotion. And if I would have kept that house there, it just grew in value. And I regret a lot of just getting rid of. I bought homes in really wonderful areas, but you know what? I thought, oh, you know what? I didn't have the discipline. So I just took the money out. The government took its big chunk. And next thing you know, boom, I lost it. See, when the government takes its big chunk, that's where you lose. That's where your wealth goes. So you don't sell them. You keep building on them. And that's a simple process. You purchase, you let the equity grow. You let people pay on the cash flow, right? Get that cash flow money going, and you keep paying. And you could do claims, right? The tax system is built for the wealthy. It is, but a lot of people don't understand. The worker bees are so busy; they're paying the most of the taxes, to 40 some odd percent. But if you learn, and you'll learn, trust me, you're gonna learn. You can purchase in great areas or in poor areas. My point is get started. Get the cash flow game going. It's a wonderful tool. And if you buy things that you can manage, it's great. And you're going to see, right? The population is growing. There's no doubt about it. So are you going to have your ups and downs? Yes, you are. But once you see how money works, it's called leveraging. And that's what I'm talking about here, leveraging, where your house starts at a price, increases in value, and that increase, you can go to the bank and say, look, you know what? That 50,000, I want to use that and start taking and investing in another property. A lot of people don't have discipline. And while you're working, taking care of your business, it's growing. And you just keep it that simple. You know what I mean? And you do your claims and you learn and you get your accountant and you'll learn how to do it. It's not hard at all. And that is what people don't do. A lot of people get caught up in these crazy expensive cars. Well, you know what? Once you learn how this operates, you can get the car that you want, but it's a business. Most rich people, think about this too. A lot of the public, about 90%, of people out there are very materialistic. They'll spend 50, 60,000. Well, I'm rich. I could. A lot of rich people don't do that. They buy those items, but they learn how to buy them. So let's say the average person likes Gucci. Oh, Gucci, it's a well brand out there, very popular. Everybody loves it. But then there's people who don't know the cash flow game. They don't understand financial literacy. So what they do is they go out there and they'll spend maybe 3 or 4 thousand. Oh, I got it. And then they don't know what to do once they have it. Well, people who have and understand about money will get these items, but they'll have credit cards where they'll use their businesses to operate under credit cards, and a lot of people go, "Oh, you would never do that." That's old thinking. If you're smart, I think even if you listen to Marcus Burnaby, this guy's a master with credit cards. There's people out there that really and understanding credit. Everybody's afraid of credit, and that's because they don't understand how it really works. People report to Equifax, right? But if you understand how, you know what I mean, if you got bad credit, work with it. There's people out there that will help your credit. I'm not talking about doing it the hard way. There's simple steps that you can take. You can actually go and get on a person who has good credit and add to them, right? Trace lines, right? Like get on their credit and increase your credit overnight. Like in a 3 month period, you got a beautiful credit. You got to understand these things. A lot of us are trying it the hard way. Oh, I got to spend 5 years, build up my credit. No, you have to understand your credit can be terrible. But then if you hook up with somebody who has good credit and they allow you to, you don't use their credit card or nothing, but you get on, one of their systems where they say, okay, I'm going to approve you to get the good credit like I do, and I'll charge you a fee to do that, and that'll up. There's so many different ways to do it, but we don't look at that. But we notice that the world is full of credit. What your credit is big, and there's credit cards that if you learn about them, they go back into your history, right? And then you see all these, mistakes that you make. But there are credit cards out there that go from the day you get it and move forward. And like you don't know that. You don't understand this. So I said understanding your credit is a big thing, and you could do a lot about your credit. Trust me. You could use it in so many beneficial ways. If you want to get an apartment, if you've been rejected because your credit's bad, that's because you're not looking into get a person who specifically works on that credit. You can have that. Okay, let's say if you have, it reported on your Equifax that, you haven't paid your rent on time. This, you can have that stream there that tracks it. So there's an agency out there that will provide information to Equifax on your renting ability or your past history. You can actually make some claims on them and get them removed. You can take them out so that they don't report to Equifax. There's so many things. The counselor could go on and on to the break of dawn. But what I want to tell you is it's encouraging. And I want to tell you something as well. The reason why I really believe that a lot of people should really go for it is because we have these countries where, a lot of you are sitting back crying about the rich people. Oh, they're making all this money. You got to stop all that. That mentality out there, oh, the rich are all bad and the poor. If you're sitting up there poor crying all the time, that's because you're spending all your time crying about things, not making the situation better. Think about this. You got to just put a little bit of education in their financial literacy. How many of you have actually taken financial literacy? And when I say that, I mean generally. I mean, okay, I want to learn about credit cards. So I want to learn all about credit cards, what I could do. That might be a course or two, that you do like on a weekend or something or online, or I want to learn about my credit, how I can improve it, not just through the bank. Do that little bit of work. I want to learn about currency, what I could do. I want to learn about loans. That could be a course that you turn. Loans, what can I do with this loans? What type of loans can I get away with that's going to cut that tax, right? So go into specific areas. There's 3 areas that I recommend. Number 1, your credit, right? How does it work? Who's tracking it? Who's reporting on you? Can you clean it up? And I don't mean just clean it up. Get some of them off. You can do so much, but you got to go with those people who are going to train you in those areas. You understand? There's people out there, young people, they're not sitting in university. They're online educating people. And you can, hit them up and they'll give you some education. You could join for maybe $100, $200, not $5,000, $6,000. We got to change our mindset. Some of them are sitting in there getting all these university degrees and half of them are coming out owing 100,000, don't know what to do. Okay, so what I'm saying, get it, learn about loans. learn about mortgages, and learn about your credit. Just learning about these 3 things. And actually 4 things. Learn about taxes. Like even here in Canada, if you want to start a small business and you want to learn about what you can claim, just go to the CRA. Go online. There's a page or two. It'll say what you can claim and what you can't. You understand? And you know what? Once you learn that, you're going to feel more confident. You're going to go, wait, I could do what? I didn't know I could have a business and I could claim a room in my house. I didn't know about the garden suite. I didn't know that I could have a room in my house and I could rent it out to seniors and I could apply to the provincial and the federal government. It's called a garden suite. And I get 25,000 from the provincial government and 25,000 from the federal government, and I could allocate that room for seniors. I could put that application into play. I can go down there and put that application, and I could have a room secured for some people that need it. And I can make money doing that, and it could help me. A lot of people don't know these things. So if you want to get into the real estate game, just certain things in real estate, you don't need to go out there and be a real estate agent. A lot of people say, oh, you got to be a real estate agent. You can be a real estate agent. It's a wonderful thing. But even to sell a house in this country, you can get on the MLS system by paying a fee. You don't even need to be a real estate agent. You want to sell a house, you know what I mean? Even your own house, you could put it, advertise it, market it, do all. You can help other people sell their houses and agree to a commission. Whatever. My whole point is all these things that we do, we block ourselves from being successful because we're not going after the mainstays. And the mainstays to me is your credit, because you need to have credit. Everybody wants to know what you're doing with that credit. You need to live somewhere, so understanding about real estate. And if you understand a little bit about credit and Equifax and how that works and those companies that report on you, and maybe you can get some of that not just cleared from Equifax, but learn how to dismantle them so that you can get a place. You don't have to go through it. Do you understand? Learn about loans and learn about your mortgages. So real estate, learn about loans, mortgages, real estate, things like that. There's certain areas that you should absolutely know about. And they're not teaching you this in school the right way. They'll teach you about calculations. They'll teach you what business is. They'll teach you all these terms. But practically, you could take a course on this and know a lot that people don't understand, and you can make a business out of it. You can set up your own little business by helping. If you got great credit, you could actually get people and advertise with people who don't have great credit. You could charge them a fee and help them get good credit so that they can be successful. Do you understand? Just by understanding a few things, right? So I'm just telling you out there, people, we need to not just educate ourselves, we need to go out there and be practical, because they're missing the boat a lot of times in these educational institutions. They really are. They're programming you to work as worker bees. They're not programming you to be independent thinkers. And what I'm saying is you can do it if you understand the basics. Everyone should have that. Everyone should have financial. They don't even emphasize that because the education system initially wasn't designed. We need laborers. We need workers out there. We don't need the people to learn about these things. It's not in our best interest. If you're a rich person, it's really not in your best interest to educate people financial, because you might realize that, hey, man, this guy's getting 99%. I'm getting 1%. Well, I need to do this to survive. So, no, the wake-up call is, wait, you need me to do this job, so maybe I could do this, and I could do the same thing that you're doing. I can learn what you're doing. Instead of me being a worker bee, I could be the king or queen bee. So it's a mind thing, and this is the reset. And this is why I'm saying, when it comes to educating and being wealthy, it's a mindset, but it's also the work that you put in, and go after those people who will help you, and they will help you. A lot of us just go to what is comfortable and new. We jump into these schools, and it's not for some of us to be sitting there, because did you notice that as time goes on, a lot of you are sitting there going, wait, I got to get this class. I got to spend thousands of dollars, and I got to sit in here, spend all these hours, and I hate it. Why do I hate it so much? Because it's to be something that you're not wanting to do, and you don't know another way to do it. So you go to what most people tell you to do, because they tell you, oh, you got these titles. All these titles, All these titles that we have out there, you have to ask yourself, what are they getting you? Do you understand? So when do we stop to look at, okay, what do I really need? Do I really need a job, or what do I have that I could sharpen so that I could be successful and happy? Not just running myself ragged and doing the same old. And how many of you are doing the same old, and sitting up there going, I have a good job, I'm making decent money, but at the end of the day, why is it that I'm just barely paying and my account is always overdrawn? And if I have a little bit of money, a couple thousand, I could do one activity, go on a vacation, and here I am in debt again. Why is that the cycle? And the reason why is because the money system that we have out there, it's really not working in our best interest. And we have to get off that mindset where we're complaining about rich people, what they do. Listen, if you want to learn what someone does, get involved with them. Right? Don't just go with what people are saying is going to work. Go with what's working, and don't be afraid to change it up. Right? Don't be afraid to do it. Don't give all your eggs out there if you're not eating properly. Don't put all your money into something when at the end of the day you're like, well, you know what? I don't have any money. I got my car, I got my house, and I'm broke all the time. And then when I do go, I'm in debt all the time. Figure it out. Maybe you're overspending. Maybe you need to look and revamp your whole system. But it's a beautiful thing if you could do that. Start looking at what you really want and what you really need. And you can have all these wonderful things if you put a little bit of knowledge into it, right? You can have the high-end cars, you can have the clothes, but you don't know how to do it. You don't understand that these rich multi-billionaires out there have systems in place, so they'll reward you if you keep spending. So you just got to learn how to spend, but let it come to your favor. So you could advertise in your company, use a credit card, and then it'll give you points where you can go and buy maybe these clothes. I'm not talking about points to go on a vacation, but you could actually use it to buy those high-end clothes that you want. You're going to spend it anyways. What about the mortgage? The mortgage that you have to pay every month. How many of us are actually benefiting? We're paying these banks, but we don't really get points off of it. It's not enhancing us. It's just paying the banks. And the banks are controlling everything. Wouldn't you like to say, okay, here's a third entity, and someone out there is going to wake up and go, wait, what if I create some form a business where these people who want to pay their mortgage, for their commitment for paying this mortgage, I'm going to reward them. I'm going to still make sure that that money that they go and get and earn at a job goes through me before it goes to the bank. It still gets the same amount of credit, but I'm going to reward them for that. I'm going to learn how to reward these people who are committed. And I'm going to make sure that, because it's competition, banks are just snatching your money. And you know what they're doing? They have so much control. It's not even funny, these financial institutions. And what you got to do is you got to learn, wait, this money that I'm giving out, that's my wealth I'm giving away. I'm giving away my wealth. And I don't want to give away my wealth anymore. So how much? If I have $2,000-$3,000 a month that I'm going to put on a mortgage, sure, it's investing and it's taken care of, but can I use that money and get rewarded for giving it to them? And you have to have expectations. What are you doing for me? Oh, well, I'm taking your money because I gave you a loan. No, it's a competitive field out there, and there's institutions that will reward you for you paying. Are you even looking for those institutions, or are you just stuck on those ones? See, we're in this thing where we become common thinkers. And common thinkers is we go to the big banks, and because we our insecurities and our fears and our trust, right? We got the big banks, the Morgan Stanleys, the CIBC, the Royal, all these major institutions. Oh yeah, they're big institutions. But if there's institutions out there who are competing with these big ones, they're going to want to give you some incentives. They have to be competitive as well. So they might have some better rates like HSBC. You got these ones that you're locked into, like a CIBC, and then they're offering, you've been locked into a 3% because you thought that was a good rate a year ago. But you're afraid to break it because, it's a common thing. It's a routine thinking. It's a way of, this is who I've been with. This is my commitment. Well, if they haven't committed to you, then you see HSBC and they're just, well, wait, they're at 1.5%. If you do the math, the basic math, you could say, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to break that. A lot of you are going to go, I'm not going to break that commitment in my mortgage because I don't have to pay a penalty fee. Yes, but do the math. If that penalty fee is 10,000 and you got 3 years left on a 5-year commitment, then guess what? Yes, I'm going to pay a penalty fee of 10,000, but I'm going to save 25,000 because I stuck with that rate of 3% when I could have went to half of that. See, but a lot of people don't do that. They don't think that way because they're into that routine thinking, right? That commitment, that security. Oh, I'm safe with them. First of all, when you do learn a little bit about money and understanding, a lot of these banks only insure you for so much, anyways, unless you're paying a premium. If something went down and they lost their money, which a lot of them ain't going to lose their money. But the point is that if it did come down to it, through the government, they're only insured for a certain amount. You could have $3 million in the bank, but if they go bankrupt or what have you, you're only covered for a certain percent. People don't know these things. So my point is do your comparison every once in a while. Change it up. It's good for you. So we're talking about wealth, and I'm going in on this wealth thing because I'm just telling you right now there's a lot to think about. And this is part 1, but we're going to part 2 because we're going to do it. We're going to wake you up, if anything, to say, listen, don't expect things to change. What did they say? Right? They say that, don't expect to do the same thing over and over and get different results. Most of you know what you're making. And the thing is, you could be making really great income, but where's it going? How are you using it? Don't start off with major debts. A lot of people don't understand that, but we're going to get them to understand. So, counselor says, I want you to be like the wise old bird and spread the word because we're talking about some wealth and finances. And we don't need anybody to discourage us. We need to be encouraged, especially during these times. And a lot of you have money right now because you've been sitting on some of it. A lot of you don't, but some of you do. And if you don't, it's a great time to learn as well. But if you do, it's one of the best times to invest. Let these markets fall. Let the reset begin. Get your money ready. Look at the companies that have been around for the last 20 years, 30 years, and get your money invested in them. If their stock is falling because the market is shut down, there's probably a good reason. We're going to talk about that in the next session. I want to talk about some bankruptcy and how people get afraid of it and what's going on. You don't need to be. If you can get back on your feet again, what? You'll be in good shape. So we're going to talk about everything in part 2. So I want you to be like the wise old bird and spread the word. We're talking about finance, friends. Take care of yourself.